Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Nobody, a graduate of Know-It-All University. And today, I'm going to help you be a successful medical school applicant. Step 1, make sure that you have a 6.0 GPA. Step 2, score a 528 on the MCAT. Step 3, in your community service, make sure to build a couple of houses and some schools brick by hand. Step number 4, make sure that in your research, you discover the cure for cancer. Step 5, in your clinical work, resuscitate a dying child. And finally, the school list. Apply everywhere from Timbuktu to Wakanda.
Oh my God! Wow!
Some of y'all on this platform realize that that is how ridiculous that you sound in advising pre-med students. And honestly, as a pre-med student myself, it's pretty discouraging because a lot of what is commonly considered, good for medical school or necessary for medical school, I don't exactly have. And it just makes you feel like, dang, like, all of that talk about diversity, inclusion, equity, sounding like a whole lot of BS. Because how can you talk about diversity, inclusion, equity, and all these other things, and you're expecting every single person to apply to medical school to have, clinical hours and research and, all of these opportunities and experiences that aren't necessarily available for everybody, depending on where you live, depending on how much money, your parents earn or your household has, just other mitigating factors that could really stop you from, fitting into the standard mold of what makes a good what makes a good medical school applicant. And it's just really frustrating because maybe I'm bullheaded, but I'm a firm believer in that just because you did clinical work in a hospital doesn't make you a good doctor. Like, there's been so many doctors that I've been treated by that have horrible bedside manner, that are just rude, robotic, and it's like, I will take the doctor that is just friendly and maybe didn't have the best of grades and didn't have, didn't get to travel to Guadalajara on a mission trip. I'll take them any day than the outstanding, picture perfect applicant that, is usually pushed out in the medical sphere. And then occasionally you'll have some people be like, stats aren't everything. You really have to make sure that you're doing what you need to do, that you talk well about your experiences and blase. But then once again, you'll contradict yourself and turn around and be like, there's no way you're getting into medical school with that GPA. There's no way that you're getting into medical school with that MCAT. There's no way that you're gonna get into medical school without, these experiences. So for me, this video and my entire channel is just kind of dedicated to the fact that I don't believe that I'm a conventional medical school applicant, and how I've learned to be okay with that, and just in general how I'm using these differences to my advantage. So first things first, starting with the GPA. In terms of the GPA, I will say that I guess I fell in line with the stereotypical numbers. I did graduate with a 4.0. I graduated at the top of my class. However, I will say that wasn't an easy route. Like, in hindsight, I really wish that I would have taken it much easier on myself. There were many sleepless nights. There were many times where I wasn't eating that well. I lost a lot of weight. I was very stressed out. Granted, there were some other factors that contributed to that, which I will talk about later on. But regardless, I was really pushing myself to fit this standard, this, pre-medical, student mold that I really wish I never listened to. I really wish that I didn't have these little voices in my, ear telling me I have to be perfect. I really want people to know that in undergrad, or whatever courses that you're taking, do the best of your ability. Handle what you can. Not everybody can manage to get an an A in organic chemistry because it just doesn't click for them. don't beat yourself up if that's the case. Stop getting onto YouTube, stop getting on the Student Doctor Network, which is one of the most depressing places on earth. Don't get on Reddit, stop listening to podcasts, like stop allowing these sources to force feed you this idea that you have to just be, spotless, that you, again, have to be perfect, because I really just don't believe that you do. If you tried your best, that's good enough, god dang it.
Just wanted to pop in here and say this isn't to disregard postbac. If you feel like you need to do that in order to boost your GPA, do that. I'm just saying that for undergrad, don't try to kill yourself and think you need to be Albert Einstein.
Now, for the next thing, the MCAT, I will say that I did not take my own advice in that I didn't put my best foot forward the first time that I took the MCAT. I took it back in the summer of 2019, and y'all, when I say that I didn't study, I didn't study. I didn't open a single book. I didn't watch a single video. I didn't take a single full-length exam. I did nothing that entire summer, and had the audacity to take that MCAT thinking that I was gonna do okay. When I tell y'all I got a rude awakening, I got a 500 flat on that test, and in hindsight, that's really not that bad considering that I didn't do anything at all. But that honestly was a learning lesson for me, just to kind of be honest with myself and evaluate myself, to be like, you know what, I really don't know what it's like to apply to medical school. I really don't know what I'm getting myself into. So I really need to take a step back and reevaluate that. And honestly, I had nobody but me to be mad at, because it's not like, I was in a circumstance where I couldn't afford to study like some people are, or that I really tried hard to study but just didn't get the score that I wanted like some of my friends. I legitimately just did not try, and I really just did a disservice to myself. So I went ahead and took a gap year after that, and in that gap year, I started to kind of get a lot more confident in myself and in who I was as an applicant once I really kind of sat down and evaluated all the experiences that I had, rather than focusing on the ones that I didn't have or didn't have the opportunity to do. For instance, I was a track and field athlete in undergrad. For all 4 years of undergrad, the first 2 years I was not on scholarship, but my last 2 years I was a full ride D1 collegiate athlete. And I'm putting so much emphasis on this to say, because there's really not a lot of student athlete pre-meds. I've met maybe like 2 in all of my time of competing in track and field, because the strenuous nature of being pre-med, as in the strenuous nature of being a student athlete on scholarship and in a Division I program, they don't mesh. It's like oil and water, like peanut butter and toothpaste. It's not a good combo. And I will say that I've tried to find some YouTubers who are student athletes or were former student athletes, and a majority of them that I've seen are Division II, Division III, and club sports. And that's not to say that these people suck or I was so much better than them. No, it's just that there is a difference regulation wise in terms of NCAA, of the expectations, or as I said, the regulations and standards of between the different divisions. At the Division I level, you see schools in the SEC and the ACC and the Big 10 and the Big 12 and all of these big name schools. So the competition is a lot more stringent because it's garnering a lot more money. And as a scholarship athlete, it's kind of like, well, you're expected to compete against those people, and not only compete, but place and do well. I have a lot of friends that are currently Olympic athletes. So I'm competing, running against these people, jumping against these people in track and field, and expected to outdo them. So once again, just imagine that amount of stress that was on my mental state in undergrad. And it's just weird because, again, I don't really see too many student athletes making videos and talking about their experience with being pre-med as well, which is another motivation as to why I want to make this channel. and is a major reason as to why I didn't have some of those stereotypical or standard experiences, because I didn't have time for that. I didn't have time to be waking up and volunteering in no hospital. I was trying not to die at practice at 6 a.m. And that's not an excuse. That is, again, reflection on the fact that I had a different set of experiences than everybody else, and those set of experiences were just as good. You know, like, it's okay. Like, I still had many, many lessons from track and field, valuable lessons, made valuable connections, and honestly, track and field is a main reason as to why I got into or interested in medicine in the first place. You know, all of my injuries that I've had, seeing some of my other friends get injured and, you know, needing surgery, as I said, the psychological aspect of sports. There was just so many different levels of life that I got to see as a student athlete that really helped me in figuring out, like, yeah, I want to take care of the health side of things. So I have no regrets in running track and field for 4 years. And honestly, I'm milking the heck out of it on my application. Like, my activity section, the richest, most meaningful experience portion is my track and field essay, I would say. And honestly, if I were to get interviews and they asked me about being an athlete, I could talk for days. So I just feel like, again, there needs to be some type of normalization that not everybody can be an EMT or a phlebotomist in, you know, all 4 years of their undergraduate career. Like, some people got kids, some people, as I said, are trying to stay afloat in school. So I just hate that there's this general consensus of, if you don't have like thousands of hours by the time you apply, you're just trash. And that's not to say don't try to get those hours at all. You know, I have hours on my application around 100, 200, 300 for, you know, the different sections, clinical, community service, and research. I'm just saying that it really just ticks me off when I get on YouTube or I get on, as I said, these other platforms, and I'll hear these pre-med students basically living a life that was totally not accessible to me. You know, they're going into great details about all their time, you know, traveling around Guadalajara, you know, building shelters for homeless children. And I'm just like, what kind of life was that? Like, that's not, did we all go to college at the same time? And I just hated feeling bad about that. I hated the fact that I beat myself up about that. And, you know, I really do believe that this path, that this medical school process and application is really set up to make you beat yourself up. You know, it's not even, like, it's weird how competitive, you know, this field is. I understand that there's not that many spots. I understand that, you know, there's a lot of amazing people out there, you know, who have a lot to offer onto the table, but I don't think that means you go home and you make yourself feel like a miserable piece of crap because you don't have those things yourself. I don't see how that's healthy, and I don't see how that's productive. And again, I really wish that people would stop pushing that out there. And going back to my original statement about diversity, equity, and inclusion, schools, y'all can stop saying that. Don't ask me to talk about my diverse or adversity or whatever experiences outside of the norm of what a medical school applicant is supposed to look like if you're not taking those factors into consideration. Like, don't ask me to talk about something you really don't care about. Stop talking about, you know, you want to have a diverse array of students when really you are still trying to select the lucky 1% of individuals, you know, who do have these experiences and these research opportunities and these mentors and the money. Like, stop trying to say we're all in this together when we're really not. Now, this is more so important for the pandemic as well, like, considering that we're in the middle of a global, like, health crisis. If medical schools are still expecting people to have like thousands of hours of clinical experience when we're not allowed to be in the hospital, y'all might as well just go on and say that you're talking to the 1%, as I said. Go on and say that you are talking to the people who are lucky enough to still be working, who are lucky enough to still have these opportunities, who are lucky enough to not have to take care of sick family members or be sick themselves. Go ahead and say it out loud. Say it with your chest. And And this isn't meant to be like a rant video. It's really not. I just wanted to come on here and kind of provide a different perspective and say, here I am still applying. Like, here I am, a former student athlete. I don't have a clinical job. I work for the federal government. I'm still studying very, very hard to take the MCAT that I previously bombed. I'm still doing my best with my essays. I'm still trying my best to gather volunteer opportunities as COVID allows. And I'm here positive that I'm still gonna be a good doctor, that everything that I've been through has done nothing but highlight the fact that I wanna be a physician, and I believe that I will be a good physician. And I know how to use the experiences that I do have, spin the hell out of them, and convince you of that too. So I am going to continue recording my journey on YouTube. I'm probably never going to record myself just studying. I feel like I've seen enough of those on YouTube, and like, I ain't gonna lie, some of the pre-med channels just be dry. They just be boring. Like, not even trying to comfort anybody, like, again, saying I'm going to be better than them or whatever. I just think that it would be nice to have some spice. It would be nice to have a bit of a variety when you Google pre-med or medical school applications. It would be nice to see something other than, here are my grades, here are my stats, here's my study plan, watch me study. It would be great to have a more interactive, kind of, like I said, spicy dialogue. So I will be recording myself, probably just like some vlogs or some get ready with me's if I can manage to do so without messing up my makeup, since I'm really not that great at it. I just started getting into makeup. I will be recording some videos about being in a relationship with somebody who is in the armed forces, because that's another niche or group that I don't really see presence on social media as much as I would like. I will try to Google like Army girlfriend videos, and only a select few come up, and they definitely don't look like me. So I do want to kind of talk about how that experience has been for me, how like the conversations that my significant other and I have had in regards to our futures and being together. I also am probably going to do like some fitness videos on here, maybe not like entire workouts, because I'm not a professional. I'm not a professional athlete either. I'm just, regular person that likes to be healthy and fit. But I might do some fitness vlogs and just in general taking care of myself vlogs, because I think self-care is a huge neglect in this field. And then just whatever other videos that I think people might like. And then hopefully once my channel starts growing, I can get some input on what you guys might like. But I just wanted to make this my first video as just kind of an introduction to welcome to the Unconventional Pre-Med Show. And I hope that you find solace here. I hope that you start to find comfort in someone that's not necessarily meshing into the status quo. And for all my naysayers, this is not a video for y'all to be placing y'all opinions up under, because when I get into medical school, eat your words. And I think that's it.